Hello, everyone, and welcome to Creating a New World, Episode 9. My name's Bill Hunsaker. I'm your host, and I'm a self-leader because I think, decide, and act on my own. And I'm also a conscious being who perceives and integrates reality in order to create values to share with others. Um, I'm very happy to bring you the show today, and look forward to it. Let me introduce our panel members, or member in this case. His name is Harry Dolgen, and he's treasurer of the 12 Visions Party of New Jersey. Welcome, Harry.
Thanks, Bill. And obviously, it's a pleasure to be a officer and treasurer of the 12 Visions Party. I'm looking forward to this. Is episode 9, huh?
Yes, it is.
Great. Let's get it going.
All right. Could you go ahead and read the 12 Visions for me?
Oh, yeah, I'd love that. It's a great part of trying to reach the 12 Visions world is understanding and living the 12 Visions. Okay, vision number 1. Okay, vision number 1 is become the person you were meant to be. Vision number 2, live the life you were meant to live. Vision 3, feel extraordinary. Vision 4, stop aging. Vision 5, get the job of your dreams. Vision 6, start the company you always wanted. Vision 7, embrace the lover of your fantasies. Vision 8, diet down to the body you always envied. Boy, that's a biggie for me. Vision 9, become a genius. Vision 10, surround yourself with geniuses. Vision 11, this is a great one too. Ride a prosperity wave that will make you a millionaire. Who wouldn't want that, Bill? And Vision 12, enjoy perfect physical, mental health. That's a biggie too.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much, Harry. Today we're going to take a look at Vision 8, diet down to the body you always envied. And I'll just start off by reading the introduction. It says, how to have a super body. In the midst of the 7th vision, suddenly Mark Hamilton noticed images of ordinary people's bodies in the 12 visions world. They all looked so beautiful or handsome, like models. Could that really be, he wondered? Tomorrow's world was so romantic and sexy. Mark's 8th vision shifted to our bodies. In today's anti-civilization, we tend to put on weight because we live in a suppressed society and become bored. Food breaks the boredom. Food is stimulation. In tomorrow's world, however, everything changed. In Mark's 8th vision of the 12 visions world, our lives were not boring. We no longer looked toward food to break the boredom. Eating was looked at more as a chore and was done with efficiency in mind. Our bodies naturally trimmed down to our optimum, most sexy weights. I witnessed the essence behind our slim and sexy bodies of tomorrow. Okay, the basic idea here is that once you become the person you're meant to be and live the life you were meant to live, your life becomes so stimulating and exciting and happy that you don't have time to get bored and want to go have a snack. You're too busy living your life. And basically, you get to the point where you only eat to live. You no longer eat as pleasure or stimulation. You eat to, to nourish your body, and that's the only reason you eat. Because of that, you're not going to go around looking for snacks or sweets or other things that are not healthy for you and cause you to gain weight. And I look forward to that because honestly, I've had problem with my weight for the past 15 years or so, and I'm now trying to start living the life I was supposed to live, so I stopped turning to food for stimulation.
Hmm. Yeah. No, Bill, I'm happy people who view this cannot see us from, waist down, because then they'd
So
see I'm overweight. I'm just going to chime in a little bit. I agree with
look,
everything you said. For myself, food in the world we live in now is a result of being bored or living the burden of life. So you go to food for comfort, and you're not even hungry. You just eat and eat and eat, and at least that's what I do. It's more a an emotional issue for me, and basically what you said. Once you find the person you were meant to be, live the life you were meant to live, feel extraordinary, and of course those are the first three visions. Then I think you have more confidence in yourself, and you're at a point in your life where you're going to say, I'm willing to change, and losing weight becomes a lot easier because you're not living to eat. You're really, what you're doing is eating to live. There's a whole different philosophy now. So, like I said, I agree with everything you just said.
thank you, Harry. I think that pretty much covers it. I don't know that there's any other aspects of it other than details, and everyone's going to find their own way to slim down
Good point.
and to exercise. Everyone's going to, because basically they're going to reach a point where food, you know, is, almost doesn't exist for them. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of food producers that exist now are going to go out of business. Because there's not going to be a demand for potato chips, candy, cookies,
Mhm.
uh, pudding. People will only eat those things occasionally rather than all the time like they do now.
Right.
Also, people will be paying attention to their uh, let me put it this way. That basically, when you're not bored, advertising cannot have that much of an effect on you. Today, people are so bored they just park in front of their TV and the commercials
Stimulate you.
just stimulate you and in some ways hypnotize you. You know,
Right.
and and then so you end up saying, I want to I want to get this. You go to the store and you suddenly find yourself grabbing something off the shelf and you can't even remember why.
I
You know.
agree. And for most people, especially I'm married, so it's a big deal for my wife to want to go out on a Saturday night. And we look forward in just finding a restaurant that we really enjoy.
Hmm.
Rather than doing that, we should go maybe to a little pub and have a little cheese and coffee or something like that. But we have to buy this humongous four-course meal, and that satisfies us. That
Hmm.
stimulates us, and we're thrusted with this all over, like you said, with the advertising, the McDonald's commercials. They would have, if you found your Friday night essence and living the life you were meant to live, they'd have the stimulation that they put out on the TV would have very little effect on you. I'm
Very
sure,
little.
right? Yeah.
Okay, I think that about covers it. Did you have anything else, Harry?
Oh no, we can talk this one out to death. So I think you better
No,
go
I
on.
think we've covered it.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to the next segment. Um, um, owning and operating a car, Harry. Where's the force?
Owning and operating a car.
Yes.
Oh boy, where's the force on that? Well, where do I begin? How about you have to get the car registered, okay? You can't drive it. You have to get the car insured, or you can't drive it. Obviously, I understand. They want to make sure that that it's your car. God forbid if you get in a collision and there's liability issues and all that. But basically, it's all comes down to the government through their regulations. Motor vehicles, whose motor vehicles represents a form of the government. And did you ever go into motor vehicles trying to get the paperwork done to get your car registered? Good. You know how many fees you have to pay?
Yep.
And some of them are unreasonable.
and it goes up every time you have to re-register it.
Absolutely. And who's getting the extra money?
The government.
Yeah, I mean it's a big joke, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, and basically, it starts when you buy the car. Because first you have to
Yeah.
pay sales tax on the car.
Right. Good point. I left that out. Yep.
And depending on what car you get and where you get it, you might end up having to pay something they call luxury tax,
Yeah.
which is an additional tax on high value purchases. Then, like you said, you have to register the car and pay the fee. In some states, such as Kentucky, you have, instead of paying a fee, you pay personal property tax,
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
which is money anyway. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Then, to operate a car, you have to have a driver's license.
Yep. I didn't get into that. Yep.
Yep. And you have to take a standardized test. I mean, I can understand, I mean, the real solution to all this is self-driving cars. But that's beside the point.
Yeah.
And that's down the road, and we will probably get those a lot quicker once we enter the 12 Visions world.
I saw a commercial on that. They're exploring that, where somebody got into a car and it was moving on its own, and you didn't have to touch anything.
I mean,
Amazing.
even now, high-end luxury cars will parallel park by themselves.
Right. And they have cameras.
Right. But again, we're moving a little bit beyond the point. Of course, then, as you mentioned, we have to get car insurance, and the government regulates specifically what kind of insurance you need to have.
Yeah, I didn't mention that.
You get choices, but very few choices on what you're going to get. You get to decide how much of a deductible you're going to get, how much you're going to pay out of your pocket before the insurance company starts paying to fix your car.
Right. Did you ever read an insurance policy? Those are made
yes,
by
I have.
lawyers. You ever try to understand it?
They're written by lawyers. No. I get the idea, the gist, but I don't understand the details.
Absolutely.
Also in New Jersey, we have what's called no-fault insurance.
Right.
And to me, what that means is when you get in an accident, it's everybody's fault.
I agree.
I mean, what happened to personal responsibility? Taking responsibility for your actions. I mean, there are several factors that go into the fact that a car costs as much nowadays as a house cost 40 years ago.
Good point.
I mean, I can remember as a child seeing commercials for a brand new Mustang for $3,000. That was in the 60s.
I remember that too. You and me are pretty much the same, almost the same age.
Yes, we are.
Yep.
But the main thing is forced automobile insurance takes away personal responsibility.
Right. I was just gonna guess.
Even if you don't buy insurance, they force you to buy insurance for people who don't buy insurance.
That's true too.
Because there's a part of your automobile insurance called uninsured motorists. So you're paying for their insurance. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. And you're right. You mentioned something about you can't have personal responsibility when there's force put on you so much.
Yeah.
If there wasn't such force, and it was we're in the 12 Visions world, people will be pretty much a lot more honest anyway. Okay, and they wouldn't be trying to cheat everybody or take advantage of the government, and try to get away with whatever they could.
Right, and if it didn't cost $10,000 to fix, a dented fender, then you wouldn't need insurance.
Absolutely.
And if you weren't paying $1,000 a year for insurance, you could put that money away against repairing your car or somebody else's car if you damage their car.
Right, right, and it wouldn't be so much money if you got into an accident you're not going to have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars in the
Right,
new world.
right,
Because we'll be going down
right.
tenfold,
Yeah,
15-fold.
everywhere, including vehicle repair. In fact, they'll design vehicles where instead of a lot of work, you'll be able to pull a part off and just replace it, and there won't be hundreds of that hours and hours of labor to repair it.
Wow.
But
Wow.
all of these things, the bottom line is owning a vehicle is so regulated and limited that it's amazing that so many people own cars nowadays.
Absolutely. Well, you
It's,
gotta go along with the system, the status quo, the establishment.
yeah,
What could you do in this world without a car?
part of the problem is that the state has a monopoly on public transportation.
True.
All the major bus routes, the light train routes, all of those are run by the government. If they were privately owned, you could have competition, and you would have lower prices, and you would have better service, more routes. It wouldn't take you 3 hours to get to work if you work in another town. That's the way it is now. If you have to take the bus, it takes you 3 hours to get to work.
There'd be a lot of bidding going on, so you could choose the person that supplies the service for the lowest price.
Right.
You would take that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I can't wait to get there.
So basically, there's force all over owning a car.
No, 12 Visions World, let's get there. Please.
Yep. Okay, thank you, Harry. Let's move on to
how did I score on that test?
Yeah,
How did I score on the test?
you did great.
Did I get an A?
There's no right answer,
I know. I'm just kidding with you. Yep.
So let's continue our examination of the 12 Visions Party national platform, which describes how we're going to create the 12 Visions world. I'm going to go ahead and I believe we left off on the let me look at this one more time really quick. Yeah, I think last time we did unemployment, minimizing unemployment, and greatly improved quality of life. I think we're actually on the sixth effect. So I'm going to go ahead and go ahead and read that one.
Okay.
The sixth effect of the 12 Visions Party would be the superior quality of education in a 12 Visions world. Today we have to ask why, in the greatest country on our planet, why do we see so many children graduating high school illiterate and incompetent? The answer to that question baffles just about everyone. But the answer to that question is we have such a high illiteracy rate and incompetency rate of graduating high school students because the rule of man politicizes our school systems. That is the answer. Therefore, the 12 Visions Party that eradicates the rule of man would eradicate illiteracy and inferior education. Again, there is no explanation for illiteracy and inadequate education in this prosperous country other than the rule of man politicizes education. The 12 Visions Party removes the rule of man. Education becomes what it should be. Children will graduate as integrated thinkers, as self-leaders, as value creators, as explained in parts 1 and 2.
Parts 1 and 2 of where? Bill, just
of the
so I understand.
Of the platform.
Of the platform. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, basically, everybody pays for education in the world we live in now, whether you have children going to school or not. Now, some people think that that's fair because, we should all support education and children are our future and so on and so forth. But I don't think it's fair. I think the parents of the child should have the responsibility for paying for the education of that child. But here, everybody pays for education. So if you don't want your child to go to the so-called public school, then you have to pay again to have your child go to a private school.
Right.
And even the private schools are so regulated by the government that, you know, there's no real competition, because nobody wants to have a regular private school, you know, that's equivalent of the public school, because they, you know, there's unfair competition there. If the government didn't regulate and run public education, there would be a free market of education. There would be competition.
Good
You would have choices.
That's what I was just thinking.
And because there would be competition, the price would be a lot lower. You would be able to afford to send your kids to school and wouldn't have to depend on everybody else, you know, everybody to pay for education. You would be able to afford it, and you can get the kind of education you want your child to have, rather than the education that the local school board, or unfortunately the federal government, tells you your child has to have.
Good point. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of elements to what you just said, you know.
Yeah. Go ahead and comment on it.
What comes to mind is you mentioned choice.
Mm-hmm.
In the 12 Visions world, people will have choice of how to choose what kind of school they want to go to. Nowadays, it seems people are very happy with having to pay for their, pay like everybody else, and it seems to me people really are not really thinking about, what they want to becoming a self-leader and making a choice. They accept the government, all right, helping them out. Like look in the minority groups, you know what I mean? They don't take that attitude. Well, maybe if I take responsibility for my own kids' education, worked hard, maybe I can send them to private school. They already accept the fact that they're going to go to public school, and they don't have to do anything about it. The government will take care of it for them. And then it goes into the whole area of today's education is kids get educated just to fit in with society. All right? We don't teach our kids to become integrated and self-leaders, and that's what the 12 Visions World system of education will do. They'll teach our kids to become self-leaders, integrated thinkers, and that's the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
All right? We didn't grow up that way. We fit in.
Nope. You're right.
Yeah, yeah. I know I covered a lot of different
That's
ideas.
Fine. That's fine.
But you can follow what I said.
Yeah. I mean, the unfortunate thing is that, whether you own a home or you rent an apartment, you're still paying property taxes, because a portion of your rent goes. The apartment complex management takes a part of your rent to pay the property taxes on, the property that the apartment complex or building is on. So you're paying property taxes whether you own a home or not.
Right. You think you're not, but you are. But even by renting,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
And a large portion of those property taxes go toward the local public school. And
good point. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah.
I mean, the rest of it goes toward the local municipal government, which unfortunately has basically given their employees, a dream retirement, and we're paying for it. But that's a different topic.
Yeah, no. And do people really care where their property taxes go to? Most people don't.
They don't know, and they don't look into it. They just pay what they're told to pay. Or they pay. Yeah. That's part of the reason why rents are so high in New Jersey, because property tax rates are so high all across the state. But again, that's a different topic. We're going to move on to the next effect, and you can go ahead and read that one. It's the 7th one.
This is the last immediate effect of the 12 Visions Party, along with the prime law. Okay, the 7th effect of the 12 Visions Party. It will quickly stop America's fall into insolvent bankruptcy. The protection-only budget, the budget that adheres to the prime law, would almost immediately cut our budget in half. As I write about in the pages to follow, this is Mark Hamilton talking, of course,
Mm-hmm.
there would be a huge event I refer to as the Great Displacement Program, which would be selling off to the private sector every aspect of government that has nothing to do with protection. And we would use that huge sale that's in the trillions of dollars, including selling government land, to pay off Social Security. So the seventh effect of the 12 Visions Party is it would quickly get a handle on our runaway deficits and debt. It would stop America's irreversible fall into bankruptcy. Subsequently, as the 12 Visions Party spreads around the world, it would stop the world's fall into insolvent bankruptcy and remove the debt from our children's and grandchildren's futures. Wow.
Yep.
Amazing. I'll chime in. I just want to hear your
Sure.
integrations about this.
I mean, basically, once we remove everything but protection and create a world where people can learn how to be a self-leader, to become the person they were meant to be, and live the life they were meant to live, and they can start prospering by creating values and sharing them with other people. As one of the earlier effects we saw, when unemployment will virtually disappear, because basically all taxes will be cut in half, because the budget will be cut in half.
Okay, what makes up the budget, Bill? Maybe you should tell everyone. You're talking about interest on, you could get rid of the interest on the debt. You'd get rid of all entitlement programs, which makes up maybe more than 50% of the
Yes.
deficit.
Yes. All that will remain is the military, but it won't be the military we see today.
Mm-hmm.
The military we see today is an aggressive military that goes around the world, policing the world.
We're like
And
Big
that-
Brother, Big
yeah.
Brother.
Yep. That's not the purpose of the military. The purpose of the military is to protect all the individuals that live within the United States from other countries' aggression.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, politicians have convinced us that to protect us, they have to go and aggress against other countries, and I disagree with that personally. And and that's part of the reason why we have the huge debt we have, because sending armies around the world costs trillions of dollars. It's incredible how much money it costs to deploy an army, and we're paying for it. And to me, I disagree with how our army is being used, but still I'm forced to pay for it.
Right.
With
Right.
my income taxes and with the growing debt, which will have to be paid somehow, unless, as Mark stipulates here, the country falls into insolvency and bankruptcy, and then there won't be any money to protect us, and other countries will be able to just roll right over us.
So right now it's a revolving door of presidents coming in, and none of them are attacking this debt. It's increasing.
They're increasing it, yes.
Whether it's Republican or Democrat.
It's just a matter of whether they're increasing it slower or faster.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, yeah. So what interests me about this part that I just read, and you're pretty much very experienced with this information, the Great Displacement Program that mentions here, selling off to the private sector every aspect of government that has nothing to do with protection. Now that's a real big sentence as far as it's a big statement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As far as I'm concerned. Just give me an example of one such thing that they're talking about in this section.
Okay, Social Security. in virtually every city, there is a building that's owned by the federal government or leased or with offices for Social Security.
Okay.
Same thing with welfare. And those are the entitlement programs we were talking about. I mean, basically, our government, from the local government on up to the federal government, creates the conditions that create poverty and unemployment.
Okay.
And then they take money from us by force to give to people who are suffering from that, from poverty and unemployment because of what they're doing.
Okay. I understand. That's
in addition, national parks,
yeah.
national forests. Now, people say, oh, these need to be protected, but protected from what? If I own 100 acres of forest, I'm not going to want to destroy it. I'm not going to want to clear cut it. I love the forest. I'm sure you do too. You think trees are wonderful.
Yep.
Trees give us air to breathe. But when government supposedly owns land, they lease it out to companies who clear cut it or strip mine it, or or all those kind of things, and they don't take care of it.
Right. It's like a eminent domain.
Right.
The government
exactly.
has the right to seize
right.
a private citizen's property.
And also
certain conditions.
All the regulation costs money. When someone's telling you that you can't build a house in your backyard, that's kind of local, but it still costs money. Or a shed, or
an addition to your property.
An addition on your house, or a gazebo,
Right.
Or if they suddenly say, oh, that's wetlands and you're destroying it on your own land that you own, and then fine you thousands of dollars until you spend tens of thousands of dollars to make it the way they say it should be. Because they suddenly say, oh, that's wetlands. You can't build there or change it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So all of these things, we're kind of straying from the point. The point being that all of these things are owned by the federal government. Some are owned by the state government. In New Jersey, we have something called the Open Spaces Preservation Program. Have you heard of that?
Explain that. No.
Basically, it's taking state money and buying land so people don't build houses and buildings on it.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow. If somebody decides that it's not profitable to run their farm anymore, that's like 10 acres, this program supposedly buys that land so that somebody doesn't, strip it down and build a business park on it or something,
Interesting. Wow. Those are great examples. Yeah, it's clear to me now.
All of those would be sold off, especially in the western half of the country. The federal government owns like 50% of the land.
In the western half of the country?
Right.
What do you mean? Be specific. Where is that?
Especially out in like Arizona, in
West
Nevada,
California, okay, Nevada, okay.
California, in Nevada, in Colorado, in New Mexico.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Of course, there are some places that someone would have to be willing to spend the money to clean up because they've been used for such things as building atom bombs. Things like that, but most of it is just wide open, either desert or forests, or And if someone buys a national park, for instance, say somebody buys a portion or all of the Grand Canyon, they're not going to want to destroy it. They're going to want to earn a profit from having people come and view the beautiful natural scenery. They're not going to destroy it.
Absolutely.
They're going to do everything to maintain it so that they can continue to earn a profit.
Right. Right.
I mean, people talk about wanting to earn a profit as a bad thing, but it motivates people to do the right thing. Now, in some cases, it does motivate. In the world we're living in now, people try to get around government regulations, and they end up making things worse. But or sometimes following the government regulations makes things worse. Or but the point is, all of these things the government owns.
And in the 12
And when
visions
they're
world,
right,
we will have a protection only budget,
right,
and everything
and
else is going to be run by the private sector
right,
businesses.
right.
Okay.
And there will be people whose essence is to help people learn to become a self-leader and learn how to live the life they were meant to live. And so there'll be people who will basically have take a basically have people help the people, and then say, okay, you'll give me a portion of your money for the next 5 years, say, like 5% or something, rather than charge the money up front or make them take a loan at a bank where they have to pay interest. They just say, once you go out there and start producing for yourself, you give me a percentage of your money for a certain period of time, or up to a certain amount. That way they may be able to pay it quicker if they're prosperous, and because as we've seen in the 12 Visions world, slowly all the costs for food, for transportation, for entertainment are going to go down and down and down, and you're going to have more and more of your money left over to enjoy, to do what you want, and things are going to cost less and less. A house is no longer going to be $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. It's going to go down.
And why is that? Because there'll be no more regulations.
There'll be no more regulations, and people will learn, and the geniuses will come out and find better and more efficient and cheaper ways to build houses. The cost of cars will go down,
which benefits everybody.
Oh yeah, everything will be less expensive, which means the money you have now will go much further. But we really are straying off the point. I think.
Yeah. It gets so stimulating,
right,
that you just want to keep going on with the same topic.
Okay, let me see. I'll go ahead and read the next section.
Prosperity option.
Mm-hmm. The 12 Visions Party, with its prime law, will take the world into a new dimension never known before. For 3 millennia, the prosperity option has been held secret. The 3,000-year-old secret is the prime law, the prosperity option. There are 2 dimensions of civilization, but only one to date has been known on our planet. In that traditional poverty dimension, we have the history of the world. Initiatory force is allowed in the governing body. It is intrinsic. The rule of man rises, and the ruling class takes over. Agenda laws, regulations, litigation hold everything back. The non-ruling class gets pushed it down into an underclass. Over time, poverty grows, freedom shrinks. Mankind fails this potential. Ultimately, tyranny and poverty prevail. Now there's another option. It is the prosperity option, which has been held secret for 3,000 years. In the new prosperity dimension, we have the 12 Visions world. Initiatory force is not allowed in the governing body. It is rejected. The prime law permanently banishes initiatory force. Rule of man is eradicated. The non-ruling class is free to rise. There are no agenda laws, regulations, litigation to hold back civilization. The non-ruling class rises into a wealthy elite class. Prosperity explodes. Pure freedom reigns. The leaders lose their power. Mankind soars to his potential. Peace and prosperity prevail. This sheds light on the importance and value this new non-political party called the 12 Visions Party is bringing to civilization. The 12 Visions Party will make this a better world for us, our children, and their children.
Wow. Now, a lot comes to mind in that one,
Mm-hmm.
in that section. Just a question that you could probably answer.
Mm-hmm.
In the anti-civilization, the world that we live in now, people who have a lot of money, you want to consider them the ruling class, that's fine, the elite class. Why would it be a benefit for them to live in a 12 Visions world, having everybody prosper? What would be in it for them?
Well, it wouldn't really change for them, other than the fact that, you know, a huge portion of their income will no longer be taken from them.
By the government?
By the government, yes. Because most people who are very wealthy no longer, you know, go out and produce things. You know, they take their money and invest it and earn a return on their money.
Good point. Passive income.
Passive income, exactly. Interest income. But the government takes a big chunk of that money, upwards of 30%, depending on what kind of money income they're bringing in from their, you know, from their investments. I mean, that's when you're really rich, when you're at the point where you can earn more money by investing the money you have than by working or running a company.
Good point.
You know, but I believe everyone should be able to keep whatever they've earned as long as they earn it honestly, and you know, and through honest value creation and sharing of their values with other people. Unfortunately, I think some of the people who are that rich now have earned their money dishonestly, especially by manipulating the government to favor them over other people trying to do the same thing.
Okay. So my point is, so for people who are making a lot of money, very wealthy, the 12 Visions Party and the 12 Visions world would benefit them because a lot of their money that the government would take now, they would have more of it for themselves. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Now the issue, do you think people who are very wealthy want to see poor people competing with them, you know, and having a lot of money too?
Well,
that mentality going on nowadays. You know?
It could be, you know, people could have that perception, but in the 12 Visions world, you know, me prospering won't take away from you prospering, because I prosper by my effort, and you prosper by your effort, and my effort doesn't take away from your effort. My integrations and value creations don't take away from your integrations and your value creations. So, you know, there is no direct competition for wealth. Plus, wealth is unlimited.
You think a lot of people, a lot in the rich class, they're driven by ego, and they might have a lot of resentment towards somebody entering, you know, competing with them and having a lot of money, maybe that didn't earn it that the way they thought they might have earned it?
I'm sure some of them would. I wouldn't be able to say whether or not a majority would.
Right. Right. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, every one of them is an individual, and they have individual reasons for doing what they're doing, and some will see it as a threat, because they won't be able to understand the overall concept and the fact that we're all, you know, working together toward the same goal, which is that everyone prospers.
Okay. Okay. In this passage, so when we're talking about the prosperity option, we're really talking about the new prosperity dimension in this passage. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that's because I know they have the prosperity option here in bold, so I just wanted to clear that up.
Right.
For anybody else.
Yeah. It's the choice to create a world where there is no initiatory force.
And that's what they mean by the prosperity option.
And that world, that's the prosperity option, yes. And that world, the 12 Visions world, will the prosperity dimension will exist in the 12 Visions world.
Good point, right. Make that clear to people.
Yeah,
Listening to this. Yeah.
That's the distinction between the two. The option is the choice to choose to create the 12 Visions world, a world without initiatory force.
Good point. Yeah, I wanted to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. I mean, you certainly made it clear to me, and of course, people understand what the prime law is. We've gone over
We
that.
did discuss it in a previous episode. We did go over it.
Okay.
But I'm sure, I think there's a section in the platform where Mark Hamilton goes over it again.
Okay.
But we'll go ahead and do the next section. Nope.
Okay.
On second thought, I've changed my mind. We're going to go on to the next part of the show, and we are going to end at 4 o'clock. I've decided. There's no need to push it through to a full hour today. But we're going to discuss how people can help and how people can get involved in creating the 12 Visions world.
Yeah, because even though I'm a treasurer of the 12 Visions Party in New Jersey, I want to really know how I can help more too.
I mean, the simplest way to help is to talk to other people about the 12 Visions world, what you understand of it, and why you like it and want it. That's the simplest thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, you can also get involved by volunteering in your, where you are, getting in touch with the people that are organizing the 12 Visions Party in your state, and organizing the 12 Visions movement, or by donating money if you prefer to do that, or by getting involved in organizing, getting involved in planning how we're going to move forward, how we're going to accomplish our goal of electing a 12 Visions Party president. So anything you want to do can help, from talking to other people about it, to volunteering to help, to donating money, and to getting involved in organizing and planning. So if anyone is interested in doing that, they can go to the website tvpnc.org, and there's a place there where it says become involved, and you can fill out a form there and move forward, and become involved wherever you happen to live. If you happen to live in New Jersey, then you can contact me, and I will help you get involved in whatever way you wish to get involved. You can contact me at whunsicker@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to help you get further involved, in whatever way you want to help us create the 12 Visions world. And that's basically it. The main thing is talking to people, letting them know about it and how you feel about it.
Good point. Yeah, well, that's a good point. So if people like this show, Bill, that you put out to create a new world, and they want to promote it, talk a little bit about that. What do they do? I mean, you're doing a wonderful job in presenting all this material, and I really love the fact that you have me on it. It's very stimulating. So why don't you just talk a little bit about that?
Again, just like the 12 Visions movement, if you want to promote the show, you can tell other people about it. We record the show every Saturday at 3 p.m.
Does it cost money? Does it cost money?
Not to watch the show, or whether you're watching us record it live, or whether you're watching the recording, and you can view all episodes of the show for free by going to the website tocreateanewworld.blogspot.com.
Wow!
And all of the episodes are there, free to view. and you can watch them anytime. Also, but if you want to help me produce the show, I would greatly appreciate it. The show will always be free to watch live or as a recording, but we have set up a Patreon account for those who want to support the show financially.
And what's that? Explain that to people.
Basically, the Patreon account is you can basically you pledge to contribute a set amount of money for each episode that we create, and you can pledge as little as $1 or as much as you want. And that to do that, you would go to patreon.com/creating-a-new-world.
Can you say it again? Say it again.
Sure. Patreon.com/creating-a-new-world.
Okay.
There you can pledge to pay whatever amount you want, as little as $1, to support the show. But whether the show will always be free to watch, no matter what. But it can really help us continue to produce the show. It can help me help all of us maintain our equipment or even upgrade it to better equipment.
Very little overheads required.
Yes, right. But still, we have computers, we have headsets. We could get better microphones so the sound quality is better. We could get better webcams so that the picture quality is better. We can do all these things if people support the show. Wow. And I would greatly appreciate anyone who does. And I want to thank you, Harry, for coming on the show. I greatly appreciate it.
Well, let me tell you, I've had so much fun being on the panel. It's stimulating, thought-provoking, and I just hope people can take the advantage that I had and watch the show. And just post your comments to William Hunsaker, all right, and he'll get back to you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for all your work.
Thank you, Harry. We're going to go ahead and end it now. I want to thank everyone for watching the show, and I wish everyone wealth, health, peace, happiness, and love.
Bye.